Hey guys, so in this video we're going to start setting up blocking, and it will probably be a 2-part video, maybe even 3, because there is quite a lot of stuff we need to do, but we will just start with some animations and then we'll build some functionality on top of it. So there is a link in the description of this video where you can download the animations we will be using, and since we're doing everything 200, there will be 200 block idle, which is just player being idle while blocking. And there is only like 2 blocking animations on Mixamo, and you can't really find any other ones that are free, but I think this is way better version than the other one, because the other one is like turned to the side and it doesn't look good. On this one there is only one arm that is actually in the air, but in the sequencer it should be easily editable to just move the arm down. So I really prefer this one, so that will be block idle, and then we also have 200 block react. So when we actually get hit while blocking. And since blocking looks best on weapon and shield, I am also going to do weapon and shield blocking before we set up attack animations and stuff like that for other combat types. So for weapon and shield you do have weapon shield block idle, so this one here, and weapon shield block react. So now we need to create montages from this. So select both of them, right click and create any montage. And then let's go to 200 as well, and I'm going to select react and idle block and create any montage. One thing, during this react we don't want to be moving, we only want to be moving while we holding the shield or while we're blocking, but not when we're reacting. So on animation, not the montage, on the react, I'm going to check root motion, enable root motion. Also do it on sword and shield or weapon shield react. Check it here. And then since we want to move while we're blocking, we're going to open weapon shield block idle, and here we can do, instead of default group, default slot, we'll do upper body. Don't mind that it's standing idle, it just needs to refresh. So let's go to 200 as well and open idle, and this one same thing, so slot name, upper body. Save all. And now we need to open player. So open, where am I? Blueprints, player blueprints. And in here we want to set up right mouse button event. So we do have this one, left mouse button. I promised that we will do it in enhance input, so let's also change this one. For that let's go to third person, input, actions, and here right click, and this will be input action. And I will call this IA and LMB for left mouse button. Control and D to duplicate, and this will be IA RMB, so right mouse button. We don't really need to change anything there, we just need to go to input, and in this mappings we're going to create new one. This will be our left mouse button, and here we need to select left mouse and add one more mapping, and this will be RMB, and we need to select right mouse button. Save all. We can close this, and now I'm going to replace it, so delete this one and just drag out the LMB action, and not on triggered but on started. I'm going to close it. We might be using like triggers and everything later when we maybe want to add heavy attacks or anything else. For now we will just leave it as it is, and we're also going to drag out RMB. And here on this one, what we want to do is first we're going to can execute action, so drag out this macro, and we're not actually checking if the weapon is equipped here, so we need to do that. So in can execute action, we also, I'm going to resize this slightly and we need to check if the weapon is equipped. So get gameplay tags, hashtag, and this will be character checks weapon equipped. I'll move it on top, and this will be end boolean. So if we can execute action and weapon is equipped, we can do exact match, then do branch, and this will be on started again. And then what we want to do is get current combat type and do switch. Technically, as soon as we pass this check and execute action, we should set up new action that we're executing. But since we do have bow in here, we will be doing different thing. We won't be blocking with the bow, but instead when you press right mouse button, you will start blocking. You will start aiming with the bow. So it will be different action. And for that we can go to gameplay tags, and we're going to create one in actions. So you should already have a blocking. If you don't, just add new one in actions. And I'm also going to I have already added aiming as well. So if you don't have this one, just add subtag and create aiming. And now we're going to use our function set current action tag, and on all of the weapons apart from bow, we'll set this to character actions blocking. And on bow, we can set it up now as well. It will be character actions aiming. After this, we have set up action. What do we want to do? We want to actually play montage. So play montage. Before I forget, like always, I'm going to drag out mesh and do in skeletal mesh component. And here we need to do select, because based on a combat type we want to have different blocks. Get current combat type. At the moment we only have 2, and that is for 200 weapon, which will be, just going to type in block, so 200 block idle. And on weapon shield we have block again, and weapon shield block idle. And on rest of them we can either do 201 or block or weapon shield, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to select 201 and add it to these ones for now. Again, we will be adding all of the animations and all of the combos after we finish like the skeleton setup for the whole combat. So on bow we don't really need it, but anyway, I added it. And on no weapon also it won't happen here, because we need to have weapon equipped to actually get here. So now we do have this setup blocking, that is all done. What we want to also do is do strafing movement on the character. For that, let's get a movement component, and we're going to use controller desired rotation. Oh, sorry, we need to set it. So use controller desired rotation set, and do it not on completed, just by continuing after the montage. And we also want to get orient rotation to movement. Again, we need to set it, so orient rotation to movement. And so we want to go to where controller is facing. So we'll turn this one off, and orient rotation to movement. So when we move to the left, no, sorry, we need to turn this on, because that is when the camera is facing, we want to rotate there. So that will make us strafe. And here we don't want to orient rotation to movement, because when you're moving left, you still want to be facing forward. That's how strafing works. So we need to turn this on, and we can also do different movement speed. So we want to slow down. And we do have a function that is set movement speed. So I'll get it here. I forgot how it actually works. Alright, okay, so based on this current movement type, we do have different speeds set up, and then it divides it, and when we overburdened, it will slow us down. And there is also swimming. So in this enumerator movement type, we need to set up new one. So third person, blueprints, enums, and movement type. Add new one, and this will be blocking, or block, whatever you want. We do have sprint, so I'm going to do block. Save. And now when we compile, we should have another one here. And blocking, what speed we should have? Potion is like walking 150. I think that will be good. So 150 for blocking. Obviously, do whatever feels right for you. And then here for swimming, we don't really need to do it. We'll prevent it eventually, so we won't be able to block while swimming or do anything else. But, I mean, it can be like 100. Right. So that when we actually start blocking, this should be now set up. And then on cancelled or completed, we want to stop blocking. So we need to remove current action. Remove current action tag. This will be cancelled or completed. And we want to stop playing this blocking montage because this will be looping, which I forgot to actually set up. So on these two montages, 201, we need to open it, go to montage sections, and here select default, so it actually loops. And then second one will be weapon and shield. Open it up, and here same thing, so default. And now it will be looping. Alright, so we want to stop this montage because this will be playing non-stop. So stop anim montage, and here we can select what montage. This might be a bit problematic because we should also get the current weapon type, current combat type. But actually it will just stop all the montages if we leave it empty, so we don't really need to set it, that's fine. And after we have set it, we just copy this part and we're going to paste it here and just reverse it. So this one off, this one on, and movement speed will be normal. Here it needs to be block. Alright, so now we should be able to block, compile and save. Let's play the game. I'm going to pick up all of these weapons. This guy is going to be annoying, so I'm going to go behind him. And now if I press right mouse button, you can see I'm blocking and I'm moving. Obviously don't mind the strafing, we need to set it up in animation blueprint. But for now we are quite slow and we can move and we are blocking. That blocking animation is a little bit worse with this big club because the arm is going through it, but as I said, it needs to be changed in sequencer. But then also if I equip weapon and shield, this one looks a little bit better apart from the movement. Okay, so now we want to actually set up this interaction so we won't be able to get damaged while we're blocking. So let's go to player. We will have to set it up in combat components. So right click on a combat component, edit combat component, and here we need to change quite a few things actually. So first, in the event graph, we won't be doing these events, all these blood gush and spawn emitter and stuff. We won't be doing it before we apply point damage, because we first need to take damage. We need to calculate how much damage we took, because then it will actually take away from our block stamina, which we'll set up later. And only after that we can decide if we are actually blocking, and we will decide if we want to take damage or if we want to block. So that's why all these things from spawn decal attached up to this play sound needs to be copied. I'm going to select this as well, this one, and we're going to Control X and then go to take damage, and for now we'll just paste it on the bottom here. Back in the event graph, we can move this back where it belongs. So here to execution, here we're just applying damage. That's fine, and then it basically goes to player or enemy, and here we will take damage. So in the take damage, open it up. This whole thing, which is damage calculation, I'm going to move this before we actually modify current stat. Round variable. I'm going to get this whole thing. Yeah, even these nodes, and we're going to collapse it to function. So right click and collapse to function, and this will be calculate damage reduction, because that's what we're doing in that function. And inputs, this one is damage, this one is damage type, and return values, it's giving us, I think, final damage after reduction, so final damage. And this one, I don't even know what it is just stats component, so we can, I'm going to disconnect these two and we're going to remove it. We don't need to actually pass it through the function, we can just get it here. So get owner and get component by class, just a single component, and this will be stats component, and connect it here. So we'll deal with this later. For now, let's open this function and let's check if everything is okay. So as you can see, we do have this local damage type, which was local to the previous function. So I'm going to right click and create variable, not the local one, and this will just be called, I don't know, can we leave it damage type? Yeah, we obviously can, but I'm not sure if it's not going to fight with this, so I'm going to call this stat damage type. So based on that, will be damage type. And this is just returning the final damage, which is fine. Yeah, it all seems to be good. This stat damage type we actually need, because in take damage we need to pass it to this. So it won't be local damage type, we can remove this variable. It will be this stat damage type. And okay, we can move this a little bit back, and then we can redirect this. So it's a little bit cleaner. So now, before we take damage, we want to do branch. And now, how do we find out if player or enemy is actually blocking? We need to get their gameplay tags, and for that we just can't access player variables from this owner, because it's not the player itself or enemy, so we can't get gameplay tags like this. We need to set it up again in the interface. So let's go to third person, blueprints, interfaces, and open combat BPI, and in here we'll add new function, which will be get gameplay tags. Tags can be small. Oh no, I'll do capital. And we will add it to combat category, and here we're not doing input, we're doing output, because we need to pass it from the player and this will be gameplay tags, gameplay tag container. We can compile and save. And first we need to set it up in the player. So when we find this function here, which is in interfaces, combat, and get gameplay tags, double click on it, and all we have to do is just pass our gameplay tags. So when the combat component requests it, we will pass our gameplay tags to it. So compile, and then let's go to combat component. And now we can just, again, from the owner, we can get gameplay tags, which will give us gameplay tags of either player or enemy. We still need to set it up on enemy, but for now, player is fine. And from gameplay tags, we need to check hashtag blocking, so character actions blocking. We can do exact match as well. And then if it does, we're not going to take damage. Can move it back again. This will only be on false. And on true, we're going to basically block. So we need to do hit react of blocking. But we can't play animation here in the combat component, so again we need to set up event that will play animation in the player or enemy. So combat BPI, add new one, function, and this one will be just block react. I wanted to set up originally just play combat montage or something, so we could play different ones, but then we need to actually check if it's blocking, and we need to select different ones, so it needs to be the block separately. So this one will be combat. Here we don't need to set anything, we just need to go to combat component, and from owner we're going to call it, which is block react message. And for now, obviously, we're not checking if we have enough blocking stamina or anything like that. We will just actually execute the block react. So now we are calling the message to player, and in the player we can again find it in interface, and this will be block react. Double click, and I'll move it here on the right mouse button so it's close together. And this one will just play montage, and here montage to play will be based again on select and current combat type. Current combat type, and no weapon, doesn't matter, but for 100 I will do that 200 one. So block react, I'm going to search for it and add it to dual wield and bow as well, doesn't matter. And for weapon and shield we need block react for shield, so weapon and shield block react. Here we want to uncheck this should stop all montages, otherwise if you were just holding right mouse button and you execute this react, it wouldn't go back to blocking idle. Okay, so we need to uncheck it. Play rate, this is all fine. Skeletal mesh component, almost forgot. And that is all. Now we can save all just in case, and we should be able to actually block. There's some error in the combat component. Let me see what it is. Compile. Alright, this one needs to have stats. Didn't we get it? Stats component, this one here. Modify current stat. Health. Did I connect it back? I forgot. So on false, yeah. Okay, so on false we take damage, or otherwise we block reacting. So now let me pick up weapon and shield. And let me turn to this guy. And there we go. we are block reacting. So as you can see, I can move backwards, but when he attacks, I'll stop. Obviously, it's going to look a little bit better with sounds and everything else. But for now, you can see also the enemy is getting way too close to my shield. And that is because our capsule component on the player could also be bigger. So on the mesh, I'm going to do... Sorry, on the capsule component, I'm going to change this to 50 capsule radius. So it will be same as enemy. We won't be as close to each other, so we can actually extend the arm and block. And also on the enemy, we do have that acceptance radius. So let's go to blueprints, NPC, and enemy. And here, find AI move to, which is down here, and acceptance radius. I will only do like 100. So now let me test it again. This time I'm going to get 200 weapon. Come on. Block. Okay, he's not actually blocking now. Did I mess it up? Let me pick up sword instead. Okay, so it's working on a thing, it doesn't work on a 200 weapon. So that will just be some animation setup. So here, 200 I left empty for whatever reason. It needs to be 200. Block. React. Cool. And I think I'll leave this video here because there is still, as I said, there is a lot of stuff we need to set up. So first of all, there will be sound, there will be effect, and obviously we need to set up strafing, so the player actually moves nicely, and then some other bits and pieces, and then also probably in different video we'll set up blocking power, which will be completely separate stat. And also you will have a different blocking power based on if you have a shield or weapon. And then we'll just have to do calculations and stuff like that. So hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next. And just one small addition, because I didn't have my headphones in, so I didn't hear sounds. But you have probably noticed that if you getting attacked by this guy, or if you're blocking, he's playing the sound of the weapon, but it is really deep. And that is just because we have based the sound on the attack speed, and he doesn't have any. So if you want to fix it, just do stats component and add attack speed on this enemy, and default will be 1, so it will be normal sound. Attack speed needs to be in the max stat as well, and we'll also fix those sounds and add this in the second video. Alright, see you then.